Hi guys, welcome to my channel and to my video. First of all, I just want to apologise if you hear any thumping, banging, barking or squealing. My neighbours are currently in and I'm just hoping that the noise isn't too bad for you guys. So this is going to be another Q&A video. I did one a few weeks ago and I put a question box on my Instagram stories asking you guys to ask me questions, and you did not disappoint. But an awful lot of the questions were related to eating disorder recovery, and so I thought I would do a separate video, and that is this video answering those questions, because not everyone who watches my channel is interested in eating disorder content, and if you're here for the eating disorder content I put out, you might not be interested in the other stuff, so this just keeps it kind of separate. Now, I do have some unlisted videos which go into more detail about my eating disorder recovery. The reason they are unlisted for the moment is just because I'm still not 100% comfortable with just putting everything out there for anyone and everyone to see. But if you want access to that playlist, then you can just send me a DM on Instagram, Kaz Loves Cakes, and I will add you to the list of people who can see those videos, or just wait till the end of this one and there will be a link there too. And I also have a public eating disorders and mental health playlist as well, where you can find more of my public videos around these subjects. Over time, I am intending to make the unlisted videos public, so some of them may be public by the time this goes out, but it's just as and when I feel comfortable doing so. I think that is enough of my preamble, so I'm just going to get straight on with answering your questions. Question number 1. Do you ever weigh yourself? If not, how did you manage to stop? I don't weigh myself, and I do see an outpatient team at the moment and they weigh me, and I have asked not to know what my weight is, so I have no clue what my exact weight is. I can kind of guess from the fit of my clothes, and I am roundabout where my body would want to be. I think maybe a little bit more to gain still, but we'll just have to see. I stopped quite easily because getting on the scales, if the number was lower, I might get a little buzz of joy, but then I would start to feel anxious about what the number was going to say the next time I got on the scales. And if the number was unchanged or, God forbid, higher, then my mood just crashed and I just got sick of it. And part of recovery is teaching your brain that those numbers don't really matter. And so I still have scales and they're still accessible, but I honestly couldn't tell you the last time I actually no, I do. I tell a lie. I used them before I went on holiday. I got on fully clothed without my suitcase, and then I got on fully clothed with my suitcase just to find out how much my suitcase weighed. So that was for a purpose that was not related to my eating disorder. Other things that you could try are locking your scales in the boot of your car if you have one. I did that for a while, so that if I wanted to get them, I had to make the effort to go out, open a garage, get them out my car, bring them back up to my flat and all of that. Maybe give them away to somebody to look after for you, or if you feel able to, get rid of them completely. The reason I didn't chuck mine out is because I knew I would only end up going and buying another set. So it was really to stop me wasting money on more scales. But now it's not really an issue for me. I don't like being weighed, and I don't like other people knowing my weight, especially when I don't know, but it's something that I've just become used to over time. And certainly I feel a lot more freedom when a little electronic box is not having such a hold on me and so much control over my mood. What are you most struggling with at the moment is the next question. Accepting my bigger body. I still haven't cleared out all my clothes from when I was smaller. I'm still not confident in my appearance, and I'm still not liking my size, and I feel that I could do with losing some weight. I'm just not acting on it, and it is beginning to get easier, but it's a very slow, very gradual process for me. I've no idea what that noise is. It happens. It's from the flat above. I cannot, for the life of me, work out what could be making that kind of noise. So if you have any ideas, please do let me know in the comments. How do you know when to stop eating and not let it trigger? It ends there, but I'm guessing not let it trigger a binge. Should have said at the start and didn't. For those who don't know, my diagnosis is anorexia, binge purge subtype. I stop eating when I'm full most of the time. I'm lucky because I never lost, well, I say I'm lucky, I didn't feel it at the time, but I never lost my hunger cues, so I haven't ever had to relearn them. But I know what a sensible portion size is, and so that is what I have. And when I've finished eating, if I still feel hungry, which does happen to me because I am a fast eater, I wait for maybe about 20 minutes, and if I'm still feeling hungry, then I kind of know that I need to go and have something more to eat. I do still binge. It does happen. I think for me, and this may not be the case for everyone, the key to not binging is to not let myself get too hungry. My binges have always been a response to feeling physically hungry. It's never been an emotional thing for me. And if your triggers for a binge are emotional, then my way of dealing with it may well not work for you. Did you have fear foods? How are you tackling them? And what strategies have you used? I had fear foods many years ago, and I'm talking like in my teens and maybe early 20s. And then I had my period of 4 years of recovery, and then I relapsed. And honestly, the first time round when I had fear foods, the only way to tackle them was to eat them and to learn there was nothing to be scared of. With this relapse that I'm hopefully coming out of now, I had fear quantities rather than fear foods. So I could eat chocolate, chips, cheese, all of the stuff that, you know, previously might have been fear foods. I do apologise as well if I've triggered anyone. I'm doing my best to not be triggering, but if I am, I'm so sorry. It was more to do with the amount that I could eat, and that's something I'm still working on at the moment, but starting YouTube has hugely helped. I think if I had fear foods, it would also have helped, because since beginning my channel, with it being primarily a food channel, it's encouraging me to try foods that previously I would have just thought, oh, I'm not going to like this, so I'm not even going to try it. And I am much more adventurous now with food than I used to be. But I'm not suggesting everyone needs to start a YouTube channel, because of course you don't. Stuff that helps: eat those fear foods with someone who doesn't fear them. And if you are starting to feel panicky and scared, just take some slow, deep breaths. Close your eyes if you want to, you don't have to, but just focus on feeling your breath come in and out. That will switch off your flight, fight or freeze mechanism, and it will calm you down, because when you're breathing slowly and deeply, you can't be anxious. And it might sound a bit airy-fairy, but it really does help. Another thing that did help me was to read while I was eating, so I wasn't focusing 100% on the food. I know there's an awful lot in eating disorder recovery about eating mindfully rather than sort of mindlessly binging, but for me, mindful eating is very eating disordered, focusing on every bite, every mouthful, and things like that. So for me, that just was not a helpful mindset to have. I also watched channels like Tabitha Farrar and Megsy Recovery because they helped to reassure me that I was doing the right thing. And you know, if I've got Eat With Me videos that you can watch where you can literally eat with me in real time. They may be helpful for you, they may not, but that's just some of the things that have helped me. How do you deal with the eating guilt while in weight gain recovery? I deal with it by acknowledging that I feel it and just trying to ignore it. I do things like crochet or video editing, reading, online shopping, which is a bad habit I have, but you know, just other stuff to distract me from the feelings of guilt. And gradually over time, those feelings have become less powerful. And I think because I'm not dwelling on them, my brain is beginning to realize that actually they are quite insignificant and there is no reason to feel guilty. I am in recovery and not fully recovered, so I do still struggle, and sometimes it's really, really hard. In the beginning, there were times when I was crying while I was eating, but I still kept eating because I knew deep down that is what I needed to do. And it does get easier. For me, it's taken a very long time, or is taking a very long time, but everybody's different, and I don't think you can put a time limit on these kinds of things. To sum up, for me, it's acknowledging and moving on. Most of the time now, I eat without guilt. And when I do feel guilt, it's a lot easier to manage and I don't often get bogged down in it. How did you stop the BP? I haven't yet. I've reduced it, but I haven't stopped it. I still probably don't always eat as much as I should. And so I still have episodes where I binge. I think I've done a video, and I think it's an unlisted one, where I talk a lot more in depth about my particular reasons for binging and triggers around that. So I'm not going to go over it all here. Do you have a routine or meal plan? I don't have a meal plan. I'm not a big fan of meal plans. I think they can be useful when you are at the very start of recovery, especially if you're at risk of refeeding syndrome. But when it came to developing meal plans, I was basically telling the dietitians what my meal plan would be, and they were agreeing with me. And I very quickly realized I didn't need a dietitian because I knew exactly what I should be eating and what sort of quantities. So for me, it's actually been quite easy. I did have issues with calorie counting, which I have now stopped, and stopping that has helped a hell of a lot. When I say I have a routine, it's like there are certain times that I do tend to eat at, and there are, my days are structured in a certain way, and I know that a lot of that is still part of my illness, but it's definitely improved a lot and is continuing to improve. And so yeah, I'm just hoping that it just keeps getting better. I think with recovery, there's that really horrible patch where you are utterly miserable. It may be when you are at or approaching a healthy weight and you just feel uncomfortable in your own skin, but you do start to come out of the other side, and once you do, my God, it is wonderful. It is literally life-changing and so freeing. And I know when I was in the depths of my illness, I would watch people saying or listen to them saying things like this, or reading about them, and think, well, yeah, that's fantastic for you, but I just don't see how that can be possible for me. And now here I am approaching that same mentality and situation. So I truly believe recovery is possible for everyone, not necessarily full recovery, but certainly getting to a better stage, or a stage where you have more of a life out with your eating disorder. I think as long as you have hope, then you have a chance. It's when you lose hope and have no motivation whatsoever to recover, that's when I think recovery becomes very difficult. What's your biggest struggle? Definitely dealing with my body and the size it is, and trying to just accept there are parts of it I don't like and I probably will never like, but very few people are entirely happy with their body overall. The final question isn't one I was asked on Instagram. It's one that I was asked, I think, in a live stream last year, and I said I would do a video on it, and I didn't. And it's a question that I really should answer, so now is the time, and that is, how did I recover the first time round? Now, how I recovered is extremely niche and not possible for everyone, but I had a Cocker Spaniel and I bred her, and she had 5 puppies, and I kept one. I was suddenly focused 100% on my dog, and then when the pups arrived, on them. And I mean, one of them had to be bottle fed, so I was up feeding her every 2 hours. I did not have the time or energy to indulge my eating disorder, and that really helped me break free from it. And the other thing was my pole fitness. I had seen people doing it online and thought it looked like so much fun, and I went to a class and I fell in love with it, and I knew that if I wanted to continue with it and progress, I needed to be well, because I needed to be strong. And those two things combined are what enabled me to just break the final chains of my eating disorder. I would say in more general terms, what allowed me to recover first time round was finding something that meant more to me than my eating disorder. Now, you might be thinking, well, I hate my eating disorder. And yeah, you probably do. But hating something doesn't mean it doesn't mean everything to you. If your eating disorder is your coping mechanism and has become your way of life, it really is everything. And it's finding things that matter more. And that, I think, can be a key to recovery, but it's different for everyone, and I can only talk from my own experience. This time round, recovery has been hard because not only have I been more unwell mentally and physically, but I haven't had that thing that means more to me. There are things I want that mean more to me, but I don't believe they are possible. And because I don't believe it, that's holding me back from full recovery, I think. And I know that, and I don't know how I get through that particular barrier. But I guess if you're watching my channel, listening to my podcast, we'll find out together. So that's all the questions I had, which I have answered here. If you have any further questions, then you can leave me a comment or send me a DM on Instagram, and I will do my best to answer either through a video, through a DM, through a comment reply. It just depends on what it is. And if I find I'm getting a lot of people asking me the same questions, then I'll probably respond to it in a video, just because that's easier, and it will either be unlisted or public, just depending on the question and how comfortable I am with talking about it and how much detail I go into. So thank you for watching, and I've got a really sore throat now from all this talking, but yeah, please do take care of yourself, and yeah, I hope to see you back here soon. Bye.